Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming, and welcome to my quick thoughts video on the AMD Navi release. So they had their AMD Next Horizon Gaming E3 event, and they revealed the Navi cards. Finally, we got two cards, the 5700 XT and the 5700. And yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts and share some interesting points from the presentation. So basically, we have the 5700 XT, which competes with the RX 2070 and is 449 compared to the NVIDIA card, which is 500. And then you have the second card, which is the base card 5700, which is 379, and this competes with the RTX 2060. So it's clear that AMD is not trying to cut prices and compete that way. And I'm a bit curious, the 5700 XT, which is a bit cheaper than the NVIDIA card, that kind of makes sense. But the 5700, I was expecting it to be a bit cheaper. And I'll share my thoughts as to why they haven't priced it lower, because I see a few reasons for that. And yeah, I wanted to discuss that, but I'll quickly go over some of the specs here. So these are the two charts. Now this was already leaked a day before, and this was exactly what it was. So no surprises there. And the 5700 is a bit slower. They now also have something called a game clock, so which is a sort of average clock for the graphics card. Now, if you look at the comparison with the NVIDIA cards, so this is the no, this is with the Vega 56. So this is the one with the RTX 2070. So if you see here, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now this has been a weak title for AMD. Like, it gets destroyed by NVIDIA cards, and here it's 2% faster. So I would call it even, basically. I mean, 2% is hardly worth mentioning. So I would call this anything under, say, 4 or 5%, even this 106. I would say all of this is basically more or less the same. The two games where it stands out is Battlefield 5 and Metro Exodus. Now this is surprising because Metro Exodus is a NVIDIA sponsored game, and this is significantly faster here. And Battlefield 5 is also a game where they have the RTX features and things like that. So surprised that they're doing this well in NVIDIA games. And even something like Witcher 3. Now Witcher 3 has been really bad for AMD over the years with the hairworks and things like that. So I'm a bit surprised, but more or less in other games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 97%. See, anything here, 97%, 103, I would call it even, because it's not a big enough difference to compare. So basically, they're more or less the same, in one or two exceptions. Now I'm guessing the NVIDIA card might be really good in something like any Unreal Engine game, Fortnite maybe, something like that. So we might have similar performance from the NVIDIA card. So I would call this even. I wouldn't call it better than the 2070. Now it is $50 cheaper, so it's fine. It makes sense. That's all right. I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have is with the other card, the 5700 here, this one. Now this one, when they showed the specs, you can see it's a lot clear, more of a clearer victory if you want. So see, Apex Legends, it's 10%, about 10%, 20% again, 12%, 12%, 23. Like the lower, even the lower average is 105. So of course there will be other games where the NVIDIA card might be better and they're not showing it because we don't have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for example. So this is a bit of a clearer margin here, and they've priced it a bit higher. So the NVIDIA card is 350-ish, and this one is 380. If this was 300, this would have, when I was watching the presentation, I was actually interested in this one. I thought, hang on, this one is good. If it's 300, I might start saving up money because this one looks good. They priced it at 380. Now I think this might drop soon, because if you think about it, at 300, this would have completely destroyed the market at 300, because if you see, you have stuff like the RX 590, the GTX 1660 Ti, you have the leftover stock of maybe even the 1060s, 1070s, 1070 Ti's, RTX 2060, Vega 56, even maybe the 64. If this card was 300, this card would have eaten up all those cards. So pricing it at 380 means they don't want to do that. 590 came out at 280. It's probably selling for around 250 right now. The 1660 is also about 280 or so. The RTX 2060 is 350. The 1070, if there are any leftovers, should be around the 300. Vega 56 should be around that price as well, 320 or something. So all those cards, they are comparable in terms of performance. The 1070, 1070 Ti, RTX 2060, those cards, Vega 56, those are identical to this. If they had priced this at 300, this would have cleaned those up. And the cards that are below this, a tier below, like the 1660 Ti and the 590, if they're 250, 260, and this is 300, someone like me, and I think most people, most sensible people, would save up the money and just spend a little more and get this. So at 300, this would have been the king of cards at 1440 at $300. But they did not do that. So sometimes I wonder if there's like some sort of agreement between NVIDIA and AMD to milk the market together, or is it them waiting to let the old stock sell out first? Because this card 5700, this is basically Vega 56 in terms of performance. It's almost identical at lower TDP and on a 7 nanometer, but it's identical to Vega 56 in performance. And Vega 56 has been a great card as far as performance is concerned. It was too expensive at launch, too power hungry, and that was the main issue, but over time it did become better. So this is basically Vega 56 as far as performance is concerned, and they've priced it at that price as well. So if they had gone lower, imagine if this was 250 or 300, this would have sold like hotcakes, but they don't want to do that. So I wonder why. Because what NVIDIA did with their fanboys and their pricing is they kept increasing the prices up. And what AMD is saying is that if they're charging 500, why should we go cheaper and try to get the market better? Because the fanboys still buy the expensive stuff. Look, even with the Ryzen processors, they cost less than half the price in some cases compared to Intel, and people still buy the Intel parts. So AMD is trying not to do that. They're just saying, okay, you can do what you want. We'll price it a little lower just to put the thought in people's minds, people who are not fanboys of either side. And like if you are not a fanboy, for example, let's say you don't really care about either of those things, and you are in the market with $500 and you're going to buy a card, so your choice would be the RTX. Where is the other chart? So this is the Vega. This is so if you are in the market with $500, you look at these two cards and you say, do I want RTX or am I okay without RTX? That would be the only decision here, because the price difference isn't that big, $50. There's something going on, and the 5700, this is no way a $380 card. This, like if I was running AMD, I would try to get this at 300 even if I wanted to make money, or 250 just to destroy the market. Because imagine all the cards that become irrelevant with this priced at 300. Like I said, you could even add stuff like the 1060 and the 580, because those sell for around 200, and all the way up to 1070 Ti, Vega 56, even Vega 64, 1080. This card alone can just cover all of that. Because if you are going to spend 250, 260, you'll say, okay, I get a lot more performance at 300. This is a newer card with a few new technologies. And yeah, so yeah, I think we might see a price drop of this very soon, because it makes no sense at 380. Anyway, let's talk about some of the other things that were actually interesting. So personally, not buying it, not looking at buying any of these cards. Both the RTX Turing series and the Navi cards, the two that have been released, are irrelevant for someone like me. I'm happy with my 570. If the 5700 goes below 300 or below that, then it becomes good. For now, it's overpriced. Now, of course, there's also this thing that when the cards launch, they tend to be overpriced. Same for other things. So hopefully this is just the launch price and the prices drop. Now let's quickly show the highlights from the because there are a few interesting technologies that AMD mentioned, and one or two of them looked really good with their card. So let's just see where they came in with the, oh, of course there was the 3950X as well. So we're still talking about processors. Now we are on to RDNA. Okay, so this is the benchmark with 2070 and World War Z. So okay, but they were at least honest with their benchmarks. They just simply said we took the best performance from both cards. So if the AMD card ran well on Vulkan, they compared the Vulkan to whatever ran best for NVIDIA. So instead of crippling the other side by running them on something that doesn't suit them, they ran it where it worked best. So DirectX 11 versus Vulkan, or DirectX 12 versus Vulkan, whatever they did like the best figures for both. I think Steve from Hardware and Boast also does this, so that's good. When he showed this, now this was a very good benchmark because I was really impressed, because I play a lot of Apex Legends, and what they did was, we have these throwables, thermite grenades in Apex Legends, and these tank your performance. So all the effects, the explosions, the fire effects, and all those smoke stuff. So let me just actually turn on the volume. You can see this together.
The GeForce RTX 2060. This is actually Apex Legends playing at 1440p, and one of the most heaviest things you can do in Apex Legends is throw thermite grenades, and that's probably one of somebody's friends just really taking a whole bunch of thermite grenades right at their feet and burning them. But the ending result of the 5700 against the 2060 is 88 frames per second versus 72 in esports. What do you think?
So this is actually a really good test, and a good bit better as well. So 72 versus 88, that is a good performance, and this is at 1440p max settings. So people like me will play, I mean anybody who plays this game will lower the settings, and I suspect we could even get close to 144 FPS with the 5700 at 1440p. So at 1080p we should be comfortably hitting 144 FPS. So basically what I'm saying is, at $300, let's say if it was 300, because I'm not going to pay more than 300 for this if I do ever get this card. At 300, to get a card that does 1440p at 1080p, because 144 hertz, 144 FPS at 1080p easily is what I'm interested in. I just bought a 1080p monitor, so I'm not really interested in 1440p right now, simply because we just don't have the options here in India. So if I can get the maximum performance at 1080p and not spend more than 300, then I'm interested, and this card can do that because I play games like this. I play Apex. This is like the most played game of this year for me. So this is good. Fidelity effects, which is basically DLSS, sort of. This does not hit your performance, but it improves the picture quality. So if you can see the road here and here, this one is a bit more sharper, and that's the thing they have. So this is off and on. So again, this looked interesting, and there was one more thing that they added: responsiveness. I don't know what they called it, anti-lag or something, and that looked very promising. So here this guy was showing the difference between,
but what if there were a way to decouple the frame rate from the input lag? You could make that input lag lower even at the same frame rate. So what we're going to do is we're going to enable Radeon anti-lag, and you'll see that on the RX 5700 XT, you're going to drop to about 44 milliseconds of input lag, which is a full frame and a half of improvement without over what you would have without this feature. So if you're looking for that competitive advantage in Dota, League, CSGO, where every frame matters, this technology can do it for you.
Very good. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
so yeah, so I want more tests on this. So hopefully Gamers Nexus or Hardware and Box, they do like a dedicated test of this, because this could be a game changer. This is a more practical use, and this will certainly help in fast FPS games, esports games. So yeah, I'm actually more excited about this sort of technology and the start of something like this. So this is actually more usable than some of the other stuff. So this is the chart they had for the difference in whatever that is, anti-lag technology. So 33% better, you know, performance overall, 33, so roughly. So yeah, so this is
Popular game Fortnite, it can be up to 35%.
35% better. So yeah, 379. I can't solo this. This is just too much. This should not be $1 more than 300, 299. That would be the perfect price point for this. I'll be happy for it because I look at this card and this is a card that does 60 FPS, 1440p, 144 Hz, 1080p. That is what I'm interested in. That's the maximum I can go based on my hardware, based on the monitors I have, based on stuff that is available to me in India. 1440p monitors are too expensive. We don't have a lot of options. So I have a 1080p monitor. If I spend 300 and I can get 144 Hz in most games at 1080p, then I'm happy. And this card can do that, but not at 380. I want it to be at 300. Now, of course, the RTX card is 350. That is, if that is not good value, then this is not good value either. This does have a slightly clearer performance advantage compared to the 5700 XT versus the 2070, and this also has 2 GB extra RAM, which is probably why they are trying to get away with this. Yeah, I hope within the next 6 months we see a price drop on this and this comes down to 300. And also, as I said in the video earlier already, I think it's because they are trying to sell the remaining stock of Vega cards, 590 cards, whatever the reason. Maybe it just seems like they've both agreed that let's milk the market together. We'll price the cards 500, you bring in something and just drop a bit. Because people blame Nvidia for increasing the prices. And AMD is saying, okay, if they are increasing the prices, it's not our job to lower the prices. We'll just target a slightly lower price, so you don't have that excuse of saying that AMD is increasing the prices. AMD is just this is not leadership, as they say, because they keep talking about leadership, at least not in the price section. They are not doing that. They are just following Nvidia here. Nvidia said 500. They said, okay, we'll just go in a bit under just to put a bit of doubt. And this one here, this one on paper, when they showed the specs, I was really excited for this. But price, I said in my last video, price will be the thing that makes or breaks this. And this card, this is a missed opportunity. 300, this will sell. 380, even I'm not interested. Mostly because I'm not interested in this price bracket. I don't want to spend that much money for 1440p 60 fps, 1080p 144 fps performance. I expect that to be lower, cheaper. And also, we did not get, where are the entry-level Navi cards? Where are the $200 Navi cards to compete with lower cards? I think that the reason for that is, again, older stock is still doing well. 580, 570 is still doing well. I bought a 570 early this year, so 570 is still decent, and I'm getting decent frame rates, maybe medium settings to high settings on most games, but I'm getting 60 FPS in most games at 1080p. So they know that they're still selling the 570s, and that is why they have put this gap here. They want to get the old stuff out, and maybe the next series, the Navi 2 cards, Navi Plus 7nm Plus, whatever it is, they might be better priced or something. And we'll see what Nvidia does, because Nvidia doesn't really need to do anything. There were rumors that there'll be a refresh or something, and they'll probably do that anyway and charge a bit more, as they do. But yeah, this whole RTX series and now the Navi series, they have screwed over the customers and they have increased the price. Now, if you think about this from a console point of view, these cards are probably, one of these cards will be in the next Xbox or the PlayStation or something similar. And if that can be for 500 for the whole thing, then why is this card so expensive? Should be cheaper. But anyway, enough of me rambling. Let me know what your thoughts are. I think the 5700, as far as performance is concerned, is a great card, and the price isn't right. This one, I can sort of let them go for the price, because it is exactly the same as far as performance is concerned, in my opinion. They say it's a few percentages better, but to me it's the same, and it's a bit cheaper, so I can't really fault them for that. I'm okay with the price on this, and also I'm okay because I'm not really going to buy this. I'm not in that price bracket, because 449, 450 would be in India when it comes out. I think it won't be less than 45, 50. I think the 2070 sells for around 50. If this sells for 45, that's just too much. I'm not going to go. My range in Indian rupees is 30,000. That's the maximum I can think of. I don't want to go beyond that, because for 30,000 I can get a console, get some games, and yeah. So if they keep pushing the prices up for the graphics card, then even people like me will just go to consoles eventually. So yeah, the graphic card prices need to come down, otherwise the entry-level gamers, people like me, the mid-range gamers, will probably end up moving to consoles. But yeah, so we'll wait and see how things pan out. I was going to say something about, yeah, the new technologies, the anti-lag thing, the fidelity effects, those sort of things look interesting. I have to say that anti-lag thing looks good. So yeah, we'll see how that develops, and I hope some of these tech YouTubers and bigger outlets, they can do some tests on this anti-lag thing, because that could be a game changer. Anyway, let me know what you think. I did not even talk about the 16th core 3950X. There's also the anniversary edition of the XT card, which is basically clocked a little higher, and pictures and loading. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so this is clocked a little higher. Boost is almost 2 gigahertz, and yeah, same RAM, and this one was 499. So okay, as a special edition 50th anniversary card, kind of makes sense. But I'm really disappointed with the 5700 card, because that card looked very sweet on paper, and they just messed up the price. I think, yeah, it's basically Vega 56 for the same price. So anyway, thank you for watching. Should end it. It's been a long video, and see you next time.